What if the greatest player of all time, the icon you watched dominate on T1 for years, gave it all up for $20 million to play in the LPL? Today we explore how that one choice would have changed Faker's career and changed how you remember League of Legends. But what you're about to see might surprise you. Faker has been the face of League of Legends since 2013, and teams from all around the world in those years have tried to sign him, but all have failed. But 2021 was different, because in 2021, Faker received an offer so big, you would think it's made up. A $20 million a year offer from one of the richest organizations in China. We're talking one of the biggest reported offers in esports history. I mean, we're not even talking esports money at this point. We're talking professional athlete money. I mean, if you were offered $20 million to leave everything behind, would you? Because Faker did not. Why would you ever leave behind generational wealth like that? Faker chose loyalty. He chose to stay with T1. Why? Because it wasn't all about money. Faker already owned a building in Korea, the Faker Tower, and had many sponsorships already. As T1 CEO put it, Faker was already financially secured for life. What Faker cared about was competition. He wanted to play in a region where he could win the most, which was the LCK, surrounded by his family, friends, and the organization that helped him build his entire legacy in the first place. It was an honorable choice. But let's break reality for a moment. What if Faker said yes? Let's see how it changes your view of the GOAT. Now, if you're curious where Faker would have gone, please stick around. But if you enjoy this types of esports content, please subscribe so I can keep them coming. The first question is which team he would join. Since we don't know which team offered him the contract, we have to speculate. One thing we know is that Faker wants a team that he could compete on. That immediately eliminates almost half the teams in the LPL, if not more. So let's start with EDG. Now it's tempting, but EDG already had Scout, who had just led them to a Worlds title. The next choice is Invictus Gaming, who had huge pockets with their son being the son of one of the richest billionaires in China. But they weren't competitive enough for Faker's needs. JDG showed they'd be willing to spend money the following year with their super team, but they weren't quite ready yet. So realistically, Faker's most likely destination? Weibo Gaming. Weibo had money, ambition, and a desperate need for a franchise player. And Faker, even at this point in his career, wasn't your average star. He was a system.
Now at the same time, they find the rest. 369 going to take his fight against Faker. Will it be enough? Does he win round two? He's ignited. He's ever frosted. And Faker with 5.
But it wouldn't be such an easy switch for Faker. Moving to the LPL would come with a lot of obstacles. See, Faker's career success wasn't just about skill. It was about shot calling, leadership, and an unrivaled understanding of just how to win the game as a team. But the LPL is a different beast entirely. The LPL playstyle is about calculated chaos, quick skirmishes, and fast engagements. Faker would have to adapt to faster games, riskier plays, and teammates possibly coin-tossing early games left and right. But even that wasn't the biggest problem. The language barrier was. See, you've seen Faker's leadership firsthand. You've watched him coordinate rotations, setups, and fights. Now imagine trying to do that in a totally different language. Would Faker have to learn Mandarin? And how long would that even take? See, even other Korean stars and other Korean mid laners like Scout and Rookie, it took them years to start really succeeding in the LPL. And they weren't even asked to lead the same way Faker would be asked to. You also have to consider things like homesickness and workload. Faker would be away from family and friends for the first time, and in the LPL they play way more games than they do in any other region, which would put a huge strain on Faker and Faker's health and Faker's wrists. So, with all that in mind, let's play this scenario out in the most realistic way we can. First, the 2022 season. So in reality, Weibo Gaming finished 6th place in both LPL splits. They didn't even make Worlds. Now imagine Faker there replacing Angel in the mid lane. Could Faker elevate the Shy, SOFM, Guangfang, and on? Yes, but only slightly. Remember that this isn't peak mechanical Faker anymore. He was leadership Faker. He relied on synergy, coordination, and being a system. And he's also so used to playing on T1. In his first year, with the chaos of the LPL meta, with limited comms, with the added homesickness and just overall workload, the whole physical toll on Faker would definitely affect his play. The most likely scenario is that Weibo struggles with growing pains and good moments and bad moments, and they probably end up missing both international tournaments their first year. Meanwhile, T1, without Faker, would fall apart. Without their leader in the mid lane, they wouldn't even make it to the World Championship. And so, DRX, in the World Finals, will face another opponent, most likely JDG, who T1 took out in the semifinals that year. And DRX's miracle run would probably still happen. But things don't stay that way. Let's talk about year 2 and why you start believing again. By 2023, Faker would have had some time to adapt, and Weibo's real-life 2023 roster was pretty stacked. You had the Shy in the top lane, Weiwei and Karst in the jungle, Xiaohu in the mid, and Light and Crisp in bot and support. Now upgrade Xiaohu with Faker, and suddenly, you're not just good, you're terrifying.
He said it and it found something, but now Light can bring it all back in. He's got Nabori in the Shy ulti. What bring the dinner to him? Meals on wheels for the quadra kill. Might Shy hits the dragon, while Light yet again opens the death note.
Faker's experience combined with better teammates would have turned Weibo into a legitimate contender. But success isn't guaranteed. Faker has already dealt with injuries, as we saw during the LCK in 2013. Now by mid-2023, the LPL's heavy schedule would aggravate Faker's wrist even more. He'd likely miss an even bigger portion of the summer, which would cause Weibo to fall out of the playoffs and really just miss Worlds entirely once again. Meanwhile, with T1 out of the way, JDG cruises to the 2023 World Championship title. Knight wins Finals MVP, becomes a World Championship, and is claimed as the greatest mid laner on planet Earth at that moment. And Ruler wins his second title, and now becomes the undisputed second best player in League of Legends history. As for Faker, the GOAT you love and respect, 2 years in China, no titles, more games played than he's ever played, with more injuries, and no legacy-defining moments. Was this all worth it? But then comes the miracle. Now things get interesting. In 2024, Faker's fully adapted to the LPL life, the wrist injury is managed, communication barriers start to dissolve, and for the first time, the team is built around him properly. Weibo would finish high in both splits, make the playoffs, and only lose out to a more well-rounded BLG in the finals both times. Then, Weibo gets their shot at international glory, Worlds 2024. After an impressive group stage, Faker leads Weibo to an intense 5-game series against BLG once again, and this time, he makes the clutch play that he always does.
We'll see the way to pick this one on. Charm flashes in, finds two. Equalizer in the back line as well. As Faker is not of this earth. He finds the engage.
Weibo wins. Weibo move on to the finals to face Genji, who didn't lose to T1 in the semifinals this year. It's Faker versus Chovy in the World Finals. It's LPL versus LCK. And in this alternate reality, we see another 5-game series. Faker, once again, is the difference maker. He pulls off one of the greatest wins of his career, taking home his 4th Summoners Cup, his first title in 7 years, proving he can win anywhere. It would be the ultimate validation. No matter the color of his jersey or his teammates, Faker would always find a way to be great. But here's the thing. In real life, Faker didn't need a new team. He didn't need $20 million, and he definitely didn't need validation. And with T1, he just won his 5th World Championship in 2024. He became the inaugural Hall of Fame inductee, and he stands as the greatest esports player of all time. So all in all, I think he made the right choice. But what do you think? Do you think Faker's a fool for not taking the money? Or do you think things play out totally differently if he did? Give me your wildest takes and your imagination in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more, please like, comment, and subscribe.